Oh, Captain, my Captain, these are the DFS Showdown slates. Today we are talking the Green Bay Packers versus the Dallas Cowboys. That is our DFS guru, Mr. Austin Amandolia. I'm just the guy that cues him up, i.e. the host with the most, or whatever the hell you want to call it. I'm Josh Hudson. We're talking Packers Cowboys. And a friendly reminder, we have showdown videos dropping for all of the games on Super Wildcard Weekend. We have the Browns versus Texans, Dolphins versus Chiefs, Steelers versus Bills, Rams versus the Lions, and my unfortunate Eagles against the Bucks. But hey, that's okay. I'm going to take solace in the fact that I get to play with each and every one of you in all of our showdown contests. So Austin, tell the people about those contests.
Yeah, you can join us on DraftKings and FanDuel. We have leagues on both sites, and we will be posting contests for the Kansas City Miami showdown slate, the Rams Lions game, and as Josh alluded to, the Eagles Buccaneers. I don't know what to expect game that'll happen. It could, that game could be like 42-41 or like 9-6. I feel.
It's going to be an ugly game. It's going to be a very ugly game. But hey, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the Packers and the Cowboys. So, fun little thing with our Oh Captain, My Captain DFS Showdown series. Just like our sister or big brother show, however you want to call it, DFS Academy, we have fun little segments that kind of break everything down so that you can get all of the information you need to set those winning showdown lineups. So the first segment here is called Captain Chalk, because every ship needs its captain. We all know the chalk plays. They're the ones that everybody flocks to put in their lineups. And Austin, Mr. CeeDee Lamb has been en fuego this season.
I mean, it has been wild to see this season that CeeDee Lamb has had. It's truly astonishing. How could you not play him this week? This is a chalk play that I will actually play. He led the league in reception this year, ended up with 1,700 receiving yards. Dude's been out of this world. I would definitely be playing him, and probably, I usually do 3 lineups and do those 3 max entry showdown slates. He'll definitely be the captain in at least one of those for me. And I don't know what else to say about it. Everybody knows CeeDee Lamb is great. That's why everybody's going to play him.
100%. And Dallas averages over 30 points per game at home this season. Look, I'm not going to say it's going to be a busy CeeDee Lamb game, but I'm also not saying it's going to be a busy CeeDee Lamb game. But for every captain, there's always going to people that oppose the rule. In this next segment, the mutineers. These are the contrarian captain choices that offer you a little bit of variety and some upside in some of these larger tournaments. I mean, if you've got Lamb as the contrarian pick, somebody's obviously throwing him the football. So make the case for Mr. Dak Prescott.
Yeah, so Dak Prescott, he could throw 4 to 5 touchdowns in this game. And if you're saying that maybe CeeDee Lamb has a down game for him and doesn't get to like the 30-point threshold he can get, but instead CeeDee Lamb is getting like 60 yards and a touchdown, like he might not get there for the captain spot. But if Dak Prescott then throws for 300 yards, gets 4 or 5 touchdowns, and dishes it out to different players, then Dak Prescott could easily end up being the highest scoring player on the slate. So I like this option with him. And if I have this build, I will likely play 5 Dallas Cowboys players in my lineup and only have 1 Green Bay player on the bringback so that I can try and target all of the different pass catchers that could end up receiving those touchdowns from Dak Prescott. But if you want another option as a contrarian captain play, I'm in on Brandin Cooks. I think one of my go-to strategies when I'm looking for a way to pivot off of the wide receiver 1 is to just look for the wide receiver 2. And given how much the Green Bay defense has struggled against the pass game, I think it's fine to continue targeting the wide receivers. And let's say that Jair Alexander is able to slow down CeeDee Lamb just to some extent. It doesn't have to mean that CeeDee Lamb finishes with 1 catch. We don't expect Jair Alexander to be able to do that. But let's say CeeDee Lamb only gets 6 catches and a touchdown, but Brandin Cooks gets 8 catches and a touchdown. Then suddenly you've gotten leverage off of everyone who's going to be playing CeeDee Lamb in their captain spot. So I think Brandin Cooks is a great, particularly a large field tournament play at your captain slot.
Jair Alexander has slowed down Justin Jefferson, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that he's able to handle CeeDee Lamb, but Jair Alexander has not been the same Jair Alexander in 2023. So sorry to say, wheels up for CeeDee Lamb. Next category here is the first mate, because every captain needs a reliable crew, and you got 5 flex spots that you're filling in behind that captain. So Austin, let's maximize our lineups here, and you've got another couple of Green Bay Packers here on the list.
Yeah, first Green Bay Packer mentioned on the show so far. So we have Jordan Love. Just the volume should be there, and I think that even though Jordan Love probably doesn't set the world on fire, he's been so consistent this year. 15 to 20 points, very viable, and that's really what you need from a player in one of these flex spots in the showdown slate. He's rushed for a couple of touchdowns, so that could help bolster his fantasy outcome. So I like him in this position. I also like him because he spreads the ball around a lot, and if you want to have exposure to the Green Bay side, honestly, Jordan Love is the best source of that because he will dish it out to multiple players, whereas most other players on the Green Bay offense, they may not get the total volume to really get there in a showdown setting. On the other hand, I also love Aaron Jones in this setup, in part because he continues to get targets and be a valuable part of the pass game for the Green Bay Packers. But also, Dallas has struggled against running backs at times down the stretch. They finished the season the last 5 weeks of the season, they finished 13th among all teams against running backs. They ranked third, giving up the third most points to running backs out of all of the playoff teams. So this is a decent matchup for Aaron Jones, and he's definitely one of the best players on this offense. I think Jordan Love is starting to give him a run for his money as the best player on the Green Bay offense. So the offense is going to run through him a decent amount, and I think he's a great option to have in your showdown lineup.
Aaron Jones has been a fickle fantasy player this season. I'm not going to lie, but you know what? I know he's been hurt in and out, and he came back looking fairly strong in week 18. So I think that'll definitely lend some hope to that Green Bay offense. Next category here is the deck scrubbers. These are the cheap punt plays that can make the lineup based on one play, limited opportunity. And we're sticking with the wide receiver position here. And I want to lean into the Green Bay because this is an offense that spreads the football around so much that it's so incredibly difficult to predict who is going to be the guy in any given week. We've seen Jaden Reed get hot. Dontayvion Wicks had 2 touchdowns last week. Let's figure something out, Austin. Break it down for me. What do we got here?
Yeah, I mean, the analysis here is just pick your favorite one, honestly, because the thing that is fun about a setup like this in showdown slates is there's so much variance and volatility that you can lean into that and decide, oh, it's Dontayvion Wicks week. And if it hits, you might be one of the only ones on him, and that's going to help move you up the board in your showdown lineup and help you cash and get leverage on other people in the field. So I think it could be easy to just be tempted to avoid the receivers because you don't know which one is going to pop that week. And I would instead do the opposite and lean in and just take a stance on which one you think is better. I love Bo Melton. I love Jaden Reed. My favorite option for this week is Dontayvion Wicks because of the way we saw him getting involved last week. But honestly, if you pick one of those other guys like Jaden Reed, like Bo Melton, I'm not going to be mad about it. I just would prefer Dontayvion Wicks.
So Christian Watson continues to deal with the hamstring. If there is a crazy chance that Christian Watson plays, do you still love Dontayvion Wicks? Because it kind of feels like they play the same role in this offense.
Yeah, I probably still do. I might be a little underweight on him, but the thing is that Christian Watson, like we know how these hamstring injuries are, they are fickle and there's a higher rate of recidivism. He could come back and just tweak it again on the opening drive. And then Dontayvion Wicks still has the same role. I feel like at this point, like the Packers have this thing going for them where they can roll out all of these different receivers. So why would they stop doing that now?
Yeah. And on the flip side of that, Jalen Tolbert's been getting some downfield targets for the Cowboys.
He has, and that's why I like him, because he's become probably, outside of CeeDee Lamb, the prominent downfield target for this Dallas Cowboys offense. Brandin Cooks hasn't really, he's not really taken the top off of defenses, nor is Michael Gallup. So Jalen Tolbert has started to fill in that role. And given how much Green Bay has struggled against the pass game, and the fact that Jair and Alexander is probably going to be focused on CeeDee Lamb, it could provide opportunities for a guy like Jalen Tolbert to get some deep downfield targets and potentially get a deep pass into the end zone. So I love him. I will probably have him in a solid amount of my showdown lineups.
And one more time, this is your friendly reminder that you can play these showdown slates with us, the Club Fantasy team, and other friends over on DraftKings and FanDuel. The links are available in the YouTube description. Feel free to click on those, join the club, and quite honestly, take our money. I know I've only won once, I think, but I won it both once, right? Something like that. I can't remember. Whatever. That was just me tooting my own horn because I'm hosting and I'm obviously not giving the analysis. But with that, let's get to the final segment, the Kraken. Because every hero needs a villain. These are the lineup traps that ultimately sink the ship. And Austin, you got a couple names of feels like fantasy football yesteryear that could, for some reason, be appealing to someone from a price point perspective, even if they probably have no business being in your lineups.
Yeah. So one receiver I think fits that category is Michael Gallup, who I think I fell for at one point earlier in this year in a showdown site. Was like, oh, maybe Michael Gallup hits. Don't do it. Just don't. It's not going to work. He's not getting enough volume in this offense. And honestly, like, it's going to be CeeDee Lamb, Brandin Cooks, Jake Ferguson, or Jalen Tolbert at this point, or Tony Pollard. Like, those five, they're going to get most of the target volume. I have no interest in Michael Gallup. I would rather play Luke Schoonmaker than Michael Gallup, just because he might get one catch and it's a touchdown, right? Like, that's where I'm at right now with Michael Gallup. I think it's just too risky. Similarly, I'm out on AJ Dillon. He gets no usage when Aaron Jones is in the lineup. These past 2 weeks, he has gotten 7 carries each game. That is not enough to do anything for your fantasy lineup. And he also just doesn't get any pass game utilization when Aaron Jones is in the lineup. So there's just no upside there, right? You're counting on him to fall into the end zone. And against this Dallas defense, even though they've struggled against running backs, I'm not betting on AJ Dillon to get into the end zone.
I think those are very valid takes on two players that have seen their best years and in reality have never really had good years. At least Gallup has. He had an 1,100-yard season once. But Dillon, for his size, they wanted him to be Derrick Henry. He's not Derrick Henry. It is what it is. But that is Austin Amandolia at Austin_FFL. I am Joshua Hudson at the One Hudsonian. Feel free to follow Club Fantasy across the socials at Club Fantasy FFL. The URL, clubfantasyffl.com. If you're watching this video, thank you. We'd thank you and love you even more if you hit that like and subscribe button. Does everything in the world to help us reach our milestone goals. And with that, stay tuned because we've got more videos coming, not just today for the rest of these showdown slates, but also the coming weeks throughout the NFL playoffs.